everybody. We're going to get started pretty soon. There should be a sign-up list for first-year architecture students also for the lecture series over on this wall. So make sure you sign it, otherwise you're going to get a 0 for this lecture. 0 as no points. I love this microphone.
I want to tell him that. Oh god, no, I'm not good. That'd be so mean. Yeah, no, I was like, no, but like, yeah, this is the text I got after the meeting. That's why I screenshot it. Because when he called me, I was like, oh, just call me the best open option. And he's like, oh, okay. Oh, that's good. I was like,
Hello, everybody.
Actually, she's in charge of all of them.
We're going to start. Welcome to the Winter 2015 lecture series. People still talking. I'm talking. I've got a microphone now. Watch out. So the lecture series is going to start this year. I'm talking about the travel abroad programs that Cal Poly has to offer. You guys are probably don't know it if you're in first year, but we're extremely lucky at Cal Poly to have such a wide diversity of places that you can travel to, and some of you might know that I love to travel. I've done extensive traveling, and it has always fed more and more curiosity for architecture. So I highly recommend that you pay really close attention to all the opportunities that are going to be presented today. But it really will make a nice, rounded, broad experience for those of you studying architecture to study it in a different culture and place. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce the person on the faculty who's in charge of our international programs, Irma Ramirez.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm the coordinator of international programs for the architecture department. So any questions, things that you have in mind that you'd like to ask, you can ask me, and if I don't know the answer, I will find the answer for you. So we have a number of programs to present today, and I want to emphasize the how great it is to study abroad, not just from the perspective of you having a really great time abroad, but also because you can get ahead in your studies. And so particularly for students in their third year, because primarily we get students going from right after finishing third year. This is a very good way to get ahead with some of the programs. And in some of the programs we also have some challenges, but programs like the summer programs definitely help you get ahead when you come back. You're ahead. We're also going to talk about some of the challenges in some of the year programs, because there are some things to keep in mind as you go abroad. Some classes that you can make up while you're abroad, some of them that you can't make up when you're here, when you're there. So it's good to plan also your academic studies as you get excited about going abroad. It's something that you really have to plan ahead, because planning ahead means that maybe there's some classes that you can take before you go, so that you come back and you're sort of fall back in sync with your class. So, and there'll be more questions about that. But we're going to start with Craig Walkup, who is from the international programs. He is your official position there is a coordinator. Yeah. He basically manages the international office, but Craig really works closely with us. So Craig and Laura Lee, I would say primarily Craig is a really great person to go to for any questions about our programs, and so he's going to give you a quick overview of the programs. This year we have kind of completely different deadlines for the major programs. which is actually really good for you guys because you can still apply. So with that, I'll let Craig introduce our programs.
Thank you for inviting me today. Appreciate it. Again, my name is Craig Walkup. I'm the Study Abroad and Exchange Coordinator from the International Center here. And we're in Building 1, Room 104. Some of you have already paid a visit to our office. If you haven't, please stop by at some point. What I want to do today is just kind of go over the quick, the 4 different types of programs, and specifically the architecture programs that are available to you, because we kind of group them a little bit differently. So I kind of want you to know the differences between each of the programs. And then you're going to be lucky enough to hear from some of the alumni who have gone on these programs before. So they're going to be, you're in store for some good presentations, and I hope they have some good pictures they took and can share their experiences abroad, because it is, I think they would all agree, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. So if you're not able to do this while you're in undergrad, it just becomes so much harder. So I really encourage you to do whatever it takes to try to study abroad now, because if you miss this opportunity, once you become a grad student or go on to a career, it's just not the same. You won't have that time to actually go travel and study at the same time. So you're really you're missing out. I talked to a lot of graduating seniors who it's too late for them. So plan early, put this on your radar, and definitely try to make this happen, because as I said, it becomes much more difficult down the road. And there's the benefits to studying abroad. I mean, they're huge. I think all of the alumni could say the personal and professional growth that takes place abroad, just experiencing a different culture, different ways things work, getting around, the independence, you know, the maturity level just shoots up. When I see a student leave and when they come back, they're like a completely different person. They're more self-assured, they're more focused, they know what they want to do, they're more a citizen of the world. They know what's going on outside of just Southern California. So, you know, try to do that, broaden your horizon. Let me just go over quickly the different types of programs we have. So we have faculty-led programs, exchange, the CSU IP programs, and independent programs. So for architecture, the faculty-led program is the one that goes to China. There used to be a great one that went to Greece. Unfortunately, that has kind of fallen out of favor. But the one to China is a great one. It goes in the summer. It's about 4 weeks in China. That is a faculty-led, and that faculty-led means just what it sounds. It's you're going along as a whole class. The whole group goes together. We have other faculty-led programs that potentially you could do if you have some electives or something like that, where you just want to go to Paris or Spain and take a language and culture class. But the architecture program in China is highly recommended. So definitely, if you're able to do that, make sure you speak with Dr. Ramirez, because that's, when is this, did we decide when the sign up is for that? March 1st, so it's coming up. So about 5 more weeks or so to decide on that one. So any questions real quick on what a faculty-led program is? You pay kind of your tuition here, you go travel with in a group kind of setting. It's really great if you've never been abroad before. Everything's kind of taken care of for you. It's really wonderful. Next type of programs we have are our exchange programs. And those, for architecture, the main ones are the National Taiwan University and the Hochschule Biberach in Germany. So Taiwan and Germany. We also have, I think you can do Tamkang University, also just outside of Taipei. So these are great programs. Can I get a show of hands? Who went on these last year? I think there's a few alumni. Oh, thought there were a few. Okay, yeah, wonderful, wonderful program. Dr. Hofu Wu actually goes over and helps set this up, and will be hosting some of their students. So an exchange is just what it sounds. We send some students abroad to their university. They send students here to our university. So last fall we had a student from Biberach, Germany, and I think we're going to be welcoming in 5 or 6 students for the spring quarter from NTUST in Taiwan. Okay? So what you do on that one, it's a little more independent because you're going and taking classes in another university. You're switching spaces with a student here, basically. So you're going to take their classes at their university. There's a lot more freedom, a lot more flexibility. You've got to do a little bit more of your own planning for kind of weekend excursions and so forth. But they'll help you set that up. And housing-wise, you can choose dorms or apartments depending on which country you go to. The good thing about the exchange program is that you pay in-state tuition, if that's what you normally pay, but you go abroad. So, you know, and generally sometimes you can pay for just 1 quarter, but go for a whole semester, okay? Because these schools are on the semester system. So, both wonderful exchange programs. Highly recommended if you're interested. The deadlines for applying are October 1st for next spring semester or March 1st for the fall. Okay, so they're coming up, so please come see me if you are interested in either of those exchange programs. The third program we have is called the CSU IP program, which is similar to an exchange, but it's the CSU system-wide. So that's this one. And the difference with the IP program is this would be for your traditional, like, junior or senior year abroad. You have to go for the entire academic year. For our exchange programs, you can go for just 1 semester, or you could go for the academic year if you wish. This one, you have to do the academic year. And the big ones for architecture are going to be Italy and Denmark. Okay? I think they have one in Chile, but I'm not sure if that's...
We haven't been able to
match up the courses.
Yet. Yeah.
Okay.
Not yet.
So let me backtrack on the Chile one. However, these are wonderful, wonderful programs. We have some alumni that have done these programs. You're going to get the most out of there being there for a whole year. You're not a tourist anymore. You dove into the local culture and so forth. So these are wonderful programs. And again, just like our exchange, you basically pay Cal Poly tuition. So our students that go to Denmark, if they match up what other folks are paying that aren't going through the CSU system, they're paying about 4 to 5 times more for tuition than our students. So it's a really good value, especially for the Denmark program. Okay? It's all done through the Chancellor's office, so the credits that come back look as if they're resident credits here and so forth. Dr. Ramirez can talk a little bit about, I know there's a few courses that might not match up exactly and you may need to catch up on 1 or 2, but it's certainly, don't let that inhibit you from going, because these are both wonderful programs. So any questions on the IP program? The one thing with this, there is early deadlines. So that means the deadlines for next academic year are actually February 1st. So it's coming up very, very quick. So there's only 1 intake a year since it's an academic year program. So if you're not going to do it for this coming academic year, which again is February 1st, you have to wait all the way till next February to apply. Okay? Any questions? Yeah.
For those year-long programs, is it like an open enrollment, or is there a cap to the amount of people that can go on the program?
That's a great question. For the architecture programs, we've never run into the issue of a full program. There are some other ones. In fact, Korea and the United Kingdom are pretty much already full, and they're having to be very selective on those. But if you meet the minimum requirements and get your application in on time for the architecture programs, generally it's a go. You do have to go through one on-campus interview. You have to have a minimum 2.75 GPA. So there are some requirements, and you have to have certain prerequisites. But if you meet all those, it's pretty much a given for these programs.
Can I I'll just add something quick to that. You must absolutely pass Architecture 303, okay? Because even if you get accepted into the program, and some people did last year, people got accepted to the program, you cannot go. And then you lose deposits, or you can go, but it won't count to your studies. So all the study abroad programs, you're going to get credit for topic studios, 4th year and 5th year topic studios. You cannot take topic studios if you have not finished 3rd year successfully. Okay, so that has happened, just happened last year, so I want to emphasize it. Okay, that's really the only requirement. It used to be that you also had to pass structures, and we've kind of moved things around a little bit, but certainly pass structures, because if you don't, you go abroad, you're going to come back to being extremely in pain. So you really have to try to pass structures, must pass 3rd year studios.
Now, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the last programs. Those are our independent programs. So those can be for a summer. Some are quarter-based, some are semester-based, but it's going through a different organization or through another U.S. university, but going abroad. Okay. There are some that may have architecture, but you would need to do petitions and kind of get instructor approvals and so forth to take courses abroad. Or if you have some electives and some flexibility in your schedule and just want to go for fun for a summer or something like that, learn a language, do some culture, it may not count towards your degree program, but it's still worthwhile. So those are independent programs. You can check on those at my office or online here. So any questions about kind of the International Center and the different types of study abroad programs that are offered? No? Okay. I think we'd like to hear from some of our past students that have been abroad, because then you'll get to see firsthand what it's really like to be there, because that's what it's all about. Thank you.
Okay, so we're gonna yes. So usually you would get excited about the program by watching these great presentations, and then you would have questions about money. But we're actually going to do the money first, and then you can get excited about the programs. So really, one of the most important key people you're going to need to talk to is Tiva White from the Financial Aid Office, because your questions really should be, can you really afford to go abroad? Okay, it's not just I'm going to go and then come back and put it on credit cards. That's really bad. You really need to plan for this, okay? So Tiva can help you with that, so that you make sure you know where the money is going to come from, your eligibility, when to apply, differences between the year program financial aid versus anything that may be available for the summer programs. So Tiva White.
Hello everyone, my name is Tiva White. I'm from the Office of Financial Aid and Scholarships. So basically financial aid is here to assist you if you need assistance in financial to cover your program. We have 2 financial aid applications available right now, one for this current academic year 14-15, and then the new one that became effective January 1st will be effective fall quarter. So for those that are planning on going to the spring quarter London program, you should have your financial aid award to you at this time. If you are awarded financial aid, you can review your financial aid on Bronco Direct, and then just calculate and do your budget and see if you need additional funding to help with the program. So financial aid is basically determined on the information that you report on your FAFSA. It would be your parents' information and your information that will determine what type of financial aid you have. It will be considered for grants and loans. Unfortunately, there's no special grant for students that are going study abroad. It's whatever financial aid you were offered through the FAFSA, that's what you're going to be granted for the year or the quarter. There are additional loans that you can consider if it's not awarded, because we don't award the Parent Plus loan or student alternative loan on your award when your file gets awarded. Those are additional loans that's an option for you to consider to help with your program cost. I passed out a brochure. If you have any questions, you can come by the office and see me and see if we can process additional fundings to help you with the cost of the program. The deadline for the 14-15 year FAFSA is June 30th. So if you want to get financial aid for the spring quarter, you still have time to submit that application if you haven't done so. It does take about 4 to 6 weeks for you to complete your file and know what your financial aid will be for the year. If you are starting your application late, then your file will be awarded for the whole year, fall, winter, and spring. So if you do get awarded right now, it'll be, the financial aid will be retroactive back to the fall and this current winter quarter. I think that's it. Does anybody else have a question? Other than that, just feel free to stop by the office and ask for me. My name is Tiva White. Okay.
There's also specific study abroad scholarships that I can inform you about in terms of like a Gilman scholarship and so forth. There's certain requirements. Some of them depend on the location you're going to. Some are, you know, if you're going to go study in the Scandinavian countries, they have some available. In Germany, there's a specific scholarship, the Baden-Württemberg scholarship for the Vivaroc program. And there used to be a Freeman Asia scholarship for Taiwan, but that's unfortunately not available anymore. But there are some other ones out there. So come and see me specifically about study abroad scholarships. Other than that, when we're done here, I have a few brochures that you can come pick up here about the international programs through the CSU system and some of our exchanges. If we run out, I have plenty of these in our office again. International Center is in Building 1, Room 104. So now I think we'd like to turn it over to some of our returning students and hear about their programs.
Okay, so if you have any questions for Tiva, you should ask them now because she probably will be leaving. She's not going to stick around. Any questions? If you need to talk about your specific situation, you probably should go see her at her office, but just general questions. Okay, so let's start with the Italy program. So we can start with Laura. There she is.
Hi guys, my name is Laura Barnes. I'm a 5th year architecture student and I studied abroad last year in Florence. And seriously, if you can study abroad, it's like a life-changing experience. It's so amazing. Florence is incredible. If you guys have taken Lauren Bricker's history class, architecture history class, it feels like you're living in all of the slides that she shows you. It's like unbelievable, unreal. The scale of the Duomo, of Brunelleschi's Duomo, is just, you have to see it. You can't just see a picture of it. It's just something that you have to do, see in person. These are just some photos of an average day in Florence. It's a really small city. Everything, like the history, the art, the architecture, it's all in the center, and it's all, you see it every day. I saw the Duomo every day, Michelangelo's David every day. It's just incredible how much history is in one small spot. So this is just some average photos just around my apartment. So this is also, you have a lot of extra time now that I didn't used to have, so I had time to do things that I really like to do, like soccer and sing. I was in a choir with an Italian opera singer, and I played soccer for the school soccer team. And then I also did a language exchange with a local Italian who I still keep in contact with. You make a lot of relationships, and it really feels like a home there in Florence for you when you're there. We got to take this awesome drawing class, a lot of drawing, and we did a live drawing class, I guess. I don't know, learned a lot about drawing. This is our school. It's in a small, it used to be a house, and it's there's about 80 students total in the program. 15 architecture students from our school, and then there was about 30 or 25 from architecture students from SLO, and the rest of the students are from other CSUs. So you got to meet other people from other majors and become really close. There's about 80 students total in this school, and you really become a family with each other because it's so small and you're all in this together. So there's no Italian students, but there's opportunities to have language exchanges with Italians and really be involved in the community. So this is a map. It shows how small Florence actually is. The line there is the distance from the IDC to the brick, and that is, in that area is basically like all of the most famous like buildings and artworks. It's all in that area, so it's just super small, and you can, but it still has a big city feel. And everything is walkable. I guess the CSU is right here, and I know I lived like right there, and it was like a 20-minute walk, so I walk to school every day. There's no need for any other transportation besides walking, and it's actually really nice to be able to not have to rely on your car. I came back and I don't even want my car anymore because I just love walking. It was an awesome experience. So expenses, this is my personal, what I spent. This does not include the airplane ticket going from here to Italy because I was able to use my parents' air miles, so I didn't have to pay for a ticket. But and I spent, I went to like 11 different countries, so I spent a lot on travel, or maybe like average. We had some people go to more and some less. So I spent like $4,700 on travel. My housing was like around $500, so it ended up being for 9 months, $4,700, and food was around $3,000. And then the top is the prepaid fee, and that includes tuition and all of the study abroad fees, as well as the school has like about $2,000 for travels that you go with the school that they plan out for you. So we went to like Pompeii, and we went to Milan and Venice, trips in Italy. So they have that fee, so you will be traveling in Italy with your school, and that's prepaid. And then all the rest, it's up to you how many countries or where you want to travel outside of Italy, and that's the extra fee.
Just going to toss in there, the tuition, like if you have any financial aid, it's applied to that prepaid fee up there. And then most people spend somewhere, in total, including tuition and whatnot, spend somewhere between $20,000 and $25,000 total in the whole year. But it's totally worth it, so.
Yeah, totally worth it. And so coming back, I guess you're a little bit behind. I don't know how it is now, but for us, I mean, I took like 21 units last quarter, but it's doable, and I'm going to graduate on time, and all of your units will cover and transfer over, so you'll be fine. If you have specific questions, you can ask me about that later. And so this is a map of like the different countries I visited. Traveling in Europe once you're there is super easy, super cheap. My first travel trip was to Spain, and I bought 4 plane tickets under $120, and it's just, you go to a hostel, you pay like $10 a night to sleep. It's just super cheap. So it's totally doable, and you get to see a lot of stuff, a lot of amazing buildings and culture and food and everything. So I have a little slideshow to show you guys, like 2-minute slideshow of places I went. In the beginning, it's slides from Italy, and then at the end, it starts going on to like the other places I went.
Yeah, and just to add on, you can pretty much, Laura kind of stayed like in some of the main countries, but I know people who went to Iceland, and one person went to like Dubai and stuff. You can pretty much go anywhere once you're there. So.
Okay, lit.
I don't want want to talk over her slideshow, gorgeous pictures, but one thing that will work in your favor if you've been following global markets recently, the euro is now to the dollar 1.12. So when they were there, it was probably 1.35. So that's a big difference. So the dollar goes further now, so things will be cheaper.
It was 0.26 more.
Gotta keep going.
Pissed now. I was there for 2 months.
Are you really pissed that you went here?
No, I'm pissed I had to spend so much. How did I get pissed out to get 1 euro? I was really pissed that I tried to fountain was closed then. Huh? Well then.
These are so awesome. Are they done? Okay. I was going to cut you off because we have a lot of programs to present. So while we get the Denmark program set up, are there any questions for Lara?
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to see, but did you go to Val's?
Yes. It's awesome. Yeah?
So housing is set up by CSU, they organize that? Or?
Oh yeah, I didn't go over that. So housing, you have a week, they give you a week in a hotel, and you kind of on your own a little bit to find your own housing, but they have, the CSU sets up an agency if you want to go through an agency. So most people went through the agency, and they find housing options for you, and you go look around and see what you like. You find what roommates you want to live with, or if you want to live with a family. It's up to you. But most people went through the agency and apartments that the agency set them up with. Yes.
Are you a transfer student, or did you come as a freshman?
No, I came in as a first year. And feel free to email me. Oh, well, the email address that was up there. If any of you guys wrote it down. My email is lbarnes, BARNES 0813 @gmail.com. So, or I'm here in Axel Studio. So come and find me. I'll answer any questions you guys have.
Hi, I'm Celine.
I'm Dan.
We're going to talk about Denmark. So these are just kind of pictures of the city and what you're kind of going to be seeing as you're walking around. The harbor, Newhound, Louisiana is the art museum, it's really beautiful. Blau Planet, the aquarium. Okay, and then these are kind of just questions, general questions.
These are different places that you can live. I spent the first semester living with a host family right now, and second semester lived in an apartment and in the city. And everyone's kind of spread out a little bit. Some people are as far as like an hour away from the city by train, but they set you up with a train pass, so it's all inclusive. Like everything that can be figured out is figured out by the program already for you, and so I would take the train from my host family about half hour into the city, but it was never a burden. It was always just fun, like a little bit of time on the train to like do whatever you want. Like you don't have to think about school or anything. Just like look out the window,
And then based on the different living, their housing situations, you kind of live with other people, so you get a chance to live with only DIS students, or you get a chance to live with other international students and or Danes, so that's pretty interesting. How will I get to school? So you can walk, bike, bus, bike, train, bike, or metro and bike. So everybody bikes. We really encourage you to bike and kind of get into that culture because it's a very big part of living there, and it's kind of awesome. You get out there and there's just like all these people in suits and their kids and bags and just living their lives on bikes, and you kind of get used to it.
Rain or snow, always riding a bike. It's quite an adventure. But you can also, awesome thing is that you can take your bike and then hop on the train. You can see the bike car on the train there, and that'll take you an hour and a half out of the city really quickly, and then you can just ride from there, ride around, get back on the train. Really awesome.
Playing in the snow, Southern California. Winter bathing is a thing. You jump in the harbor in the city, and then some of you go into sauna and you do it, but it's like a Danish thing. That's when they told us we were officially Danes. And then after the cold, the sun comes back out a little bit, and you kind of spend the next month or so just laying out in parks and more parks. And oh, festival season, by far the best part of Denmark. They have festival season kind of right when you get there is the beginning of it, and then right when you leave, or is the end of it, and right when you leave is the beginning of it, and it's just like the best part of the city. Roskilde, Culture Night, or Kulturnatten. SMK Friday is like a thing that they do in museums every Friday, and so there's a lot of opportunity to kind of do what the locals do and hang out.
And all those things for free too?
Yeah.
Except for Roskilde.
Right. So you kind of need to cope with the cold and the darkness, and you find things to do inside. Yeah. And hitch rides on bikes. Sketching is like a very big part of the academic part of going to school. It's really encouraged.
Yeah. Both, I think all of us took a really cool sketching class where we go around the city during school. Like your teachers will take you, all right, we're gonna go sketch, and you just like walk outside and start sketching cool buildings out in the city. It was really cool.
Oh yeah, the cemeteries over there are kind of like parks, and everybody hangs out, and it's like it's kind of a culture shock when you get there, and you kind of just get used to it, and it's part of being there, I think. Yeah, you find ways to keep yourself busy inside, and it's kind of the same things outside. Okay, so study tours and independent travel. So you go on 2 study tours with the school. Each semester, and then you have 2 on your own. So this is Western Denmark, which is the first thing that you'll do. And then this is one of the options of Sweden and Finland. Super awesome. The next one is Germany, Switzerland. I think by far the best one. Yeah. And then Berlin is for the full year students, so all of you will do that. And then these are kind of just the ones that we did on our own. Barcelona, Istanbul. This is more Istanbul, just taking it all in. Amsterdam, and then again, just all of the bikes. Gotta get on the bikes. And yeah, that's it. We're all kind of around. It's us 2, and then Nicole and George, and we all went to Denmark, and we would be more than happy to answer it.
And Crystal.
Oh, and Crystal. And Crystal. I didn't see you. I'm sorry.
There's a question right here.
Yes.
So when you go to Italy, it's obviously very easy to travel all over mainland Europe. I see that you guys went on like study trips, but were you able? I know that Kevin went to Iceland recently.
Yeah.
Like, are you able to go visit your friends in Italy? Or?
I visited Italy. Crystal visited Italy. Yeah, Dan as well. You can. The travels are really on you. Like, you can go as far as you want. We went as far as like Dan went to Norway, we went to Morocco, we got all the way to Lisbon. Like you can find cheap ways to get over
the way
there.
the program's structured, you have like the first 3 weeks, and then you have one of these study tours, and then you have another 3 weeks, and another study tour, and it kind of just keeps going like that. So
yeah.
you have one study tour on your own, or 2 study tours at the school, and 2 study tours on your own every semester.
Yeah, and the ones with the school are really, really good. Like
Really
they take you to a lot of really awesome places. It's built in, it's like you're paying for it already. And so even if you don't travel on your own for the other 2, which I recommend staying in Copenhagen for one of them because you have a lot of free time to do the things that you wish you could do during the week that you just don't really have time for because of school. But yeah, you like even if you don't travel the 2 independent ones, you still get to see a lot because of the way the program is set up.
Cost-wise, is it the same as Italy? Like
No.
A bit more expensive.
Yeah, it is more expensive, but we do have a lot more things built in. So you do get a stipend for food, or if you live with a host family, then they're kind of cooking for you all the time. The city itself, like the food and stuff, is also a little bit more expensive than Florence, but you do get the study tours built in, and so it's a little bit of a give and take. Overall, ours is a little bit more expensive, but
at the end of the day, we probably didn't pay that much more than them because our housing was built in, and we didn't have to go find that. And then the traveling, extra traveling breaks, that was built in there as well, so that was a lot. Helped out the cost.
Yeah.
What would you say is the cost?
We were just discussing this. I think somewhere around like 20 to 22 is what I spent.
Yeah, I'd say we probably ended up spending about as much as the Italy people, like 25,000 or so. But yeah, just because so much of it was built in. And you also find ways of getting cheap flights and all that stuff.
Trains and buses and overnight buses.
Can you live away from the housing that is?
Yeah, you can. You end up getting like a reimbursement for it, and then it's a lot easier. There's so many different options. Like I'd probably suggest at least the first semester like living at one of their options, because you end up like some of the options are like completely off the grid. You're not even near any other students, and it's really cool. They have one option where you live at the folk high school, and you live like an hour and a half outside the city at this like commune kind of thing where
people are doing independent study,
and it just that would have been a cool one. I think that would have been cool to do. So I would suggest if you're going to do that, you can do that, but maybe like in the second semester.
Any other questions?
Okay, thank you guys. So the other year program that we have is the Biberach program. We don't have students here that were there last year. So we do have one student there right now. But just to say a few words about Biberach, because we don't have anyone to really present it. Biberach, there is a language requirement. You must speak German to go to Biberach. All the other programs do not have a language requirement, okay? But also the partners there are really great, and they do have a financial assistance. So they do have, I don't remember exactly how much it is. Craig, what is it that they give Biberach to our students? It's the full tuition, right?
No, it's a stipend of like 500 euros a month or something. I don't know what it is, but it's a scholarship, and most of our students are eligible for it.
Mm-hmm.
So
okay.
It really helps offset the spending, kind of provides your spending money when you're there.
Yeah, no, that's really great. Now the other thing is that we only send one student, so it really needs to be, if there's more than one, we interview you, and we really recommend one because their program's actually very small.
And don't let the language requirement scare you away. It's only to intermediate level for German. You don't have to be fluent, but you need to be about intermediate. So taking a couple German classes either in high school or at community college,
and you should be able to get by.
Yeah, it is the program that we have that I would say is for someone that is extremely independent and secure and mature, and because your support system will be very foreign to what you're used to. All the other programs, you have either students that are going from here with you, or you have an exchange that is set up. So it's really a program for a very mature, advanced, responsible students. Okay, so now we're going to go to the quarter programs, and we have one summer program. So the only summer program is the China program, and that program is open to grad students, and I believe that is the only program open to grads, right? Is Taiwan open to grads? But can they go? Don't they pull out a sequence? Okay, so the year programs unfortunately are not open to grads. Okay, unfortunately, the only programs would be the quarter programs. So summer in China. Yes.
Okay, so I'm actually a grad student, which is why I guess I ended up in China. But aside of that, my name is Lester. So I decided to, oh sorry, this is short. Okay, so I decided to do China because predominantly I started realizing that China is a huge player in the world right now, and just understanding a world that's completely different from ours. That's why I started with this image, because I had really no clue about China. I've been to Europe, I've been to other places in the world, and I was like, you know, this is something that in the future, especially if we're studying architecture, urban planning, a lot of the other careers that are related to us, you definitely have to take it into consideration. It is something where you can find a job. It is, you see everything on the extreme level. So, next image. This is actually, well, it looks a little bit better in my computer, but we went to the urban planning in Beijing. Beijing is basically where we took off the program. It definitely was nothing as I expected. You get some readings prior to going to kind of give you an idea of studying, getting to understand a little bit where you're going to go. But when you get there, it is absolutely dumbfounding. I felt really stupid for the most part because it's just so big. It's incomprehensible. And we started there, and I think the way the program was structured, I really liked it because you start with the heart and I guess the ancient part of this country to get a stronger and richer understanding, because this is kind of what we have the image of. This is the Bird's Nest by Herzog and de Meuron. But you have a very modern version or an image, I think, that's projected out, and there, you know, once you're there, you kind of understand why it is that way. But it's definitely fascinating seeing where China started. Kind of, you get a very small breath, I guess, because it's such a huge country and such a big program, and then you move on into seeing the future. We went to a lot of fantastic places that you only see in images, and you really can't even fathom how amazing they are. We went to a lot of temples, a lot of gardens. Up there is a Temple of Heaven. We also went to the Summer Palace, obviously Tiananmen Square, the Forbidden City. These right here, I put them, and they're supposed to show the scale, how huge these temples are. They're carved into the mountain. They're just huge. I don't even know. Like I said, I think overall my take from my trip was just that how much I want to go back and revisit it. It's absolutely amazing. Okay, one of the things that you start noticing once you're there, even though you're there just for the summer, because everything is so compacted, you have days that are so rich in information and in what you see. You start noticing all these other little quirks of the city or the country in general that you find almost, you question it when you get there, but once you're there, you start understanding, you start appreciating it. Some of it is comical, some of it, like that little girl on what seems on the wheel, is very dangerous, but you know, that's why it's so important to go out there to kind of open your world perspective and see that, you know, people live differently and they completely are okay with it. Continue. One of the things, and the thing I think took the most from there, are the people. The people really make this country, and I think that's with any country that you visit, but it completely changes the way you see the world. For me, especially for architecture and a lot of urban planning, you talk about parks and green spaces and getting all these places. There, you just put it and they go. There's so many people. The sheer amount of people, the vibrancy at nighttime when there's no lights. In the school we were in, you basically walk through this plaza and it's pitch dark, but there's people, there's kids playing around. It's absolutely amazing. This was taken at 795, 798? 798. It's an art zone, but I don't know, it's just so vibrant, what you would think, because you would think this kind of installations and art you find in major metropolitan cities, but you never really, I think, associate it, at least I didn't, with China, but there's so much going on. This is actually one of my favorite images that I took there. It's with Mao, but it's Mickey Mouse, it's like a joke. It was just really wonderful, and I think that's Irma. It kind of faded in back. So another thing that makes this really wonderful are the people. Like, you become really close with people that you don't know at all. We went with urban planning people, with landscape architects, architects as well. You are there basically with foreign exchange students from Africa, and there's also the partners from China. They're extremely nice, and it's great to learn so much from them. They're very supportive. When you don't understand, you laugh and you feel stupid, but they're totally there to help you out. And the foreign exchange students from Africa are actually there for the entire year. They live there, so they know the ins and outs. Nightlife is really fun for those of you that like that. You know, and you just get to have fun, and you develop really strong relationships. I still talk to a lot of the people that I went with, and you know, we're only there for 5 weeks, but because it's so intense, you make, I guess, lifelong relationships. The Great Wall of China, I don't know, I like the idea of scale, because it's so hard to understand how big it is in scale. It was wonderful. I actually have a video, which I couldn't put on here, of Irma running with Gwen, Yuri up, and Indruin. They were racing. It took them 17 seconds to get up. Anyways, okay, next image. And one of the things is that you do get a very rich and deep perspective, because we went from a very traditional China with gardens and really understanding the basics to what it is today and the image that's projected out into the world. I mean, we were in Shanghai and Hong Kong, Wutashan, Suzhou. I actually just had a customer at my job. She was like, oh, I'm going back to Suzhou, and she was saying where she was from, and I was like, oh, I was just there this summer. So it's really wonderful. Next image. This is part of the program. You're taking an urban planning, is it URP? Landscape, sorry. And it's basically on gardens. You will visit such amazing gardens. Like, you have to draw. I was very bad at it, and I took an image out because it was just a disgusting drawing. But it was just really good to see these places. It's very humid. So if you are going to travel to China, travel light. I don't travel light at all. I took way too much and ended up not using most of it. This is actually, my camera couldn't take how tall this was. This was in Hong Kong. The reason I put these images here was because you really start thinking about, when you come back, how you're going to view the world and what you can take from there. Because like I said, China is very extreme. So, you know, we always think about density, living arrangements, high-rises, you know, moving people in closer to the city. But the way that you experience things there really gives you, you start almost critiquing in a way, which is good, because you shouldn't just go and be like, oh wow, it's all, because you're not just tourists. You're there as students, you're there to be critical and there to understand. These are the urban planning museum. This one is in Shanghai. That's the Bund. Wait, yeah, I think so. I can't even see. It's really good. I put this one because this is when we arrived in Hong Kong. I had actually been talking about going to see these elephants everywhere. They're an art installation that was coming into the city. And that's one of the things that you, even though it's a short amount of time, you definitely have the ability to wander out at nighttime during the day, as long as you're responsible. That was the peace sign. This was actually a very funny story. Irma questioned why I even bought this. It was on a stick, but it helped us guide us for a little bit. So I'm trying to think, support systems. Your support system are basically your partners. Those are the people that are really going to help you out and kind of get you through the thing. Any questions? Yes?
Did you capture the height of that building? What was that building called?
Which one? Oh, the other one? It was just a residential. That was residential. That was not like it wasn't anything. It was just a development for residences.
Where was it?
It went in Hong Kong. But you see that throughout. The other images actually was outside of Beijing, and then the other one was by Shanghai. So the thing is, it's massive amounts of construction and deconstruction, because things are made so quickly there, and it's at the same, it floors you, but at the same time you get a little anxiety, I think, over it, because it's just so much of it that you start questioning how and why, and we take into consideration the livable quality of people. But yeah, that's basically it. Oh.
I would just add that this program is this is an E&B program, so we have 3 faculties that go. So I'm one of the lead faculties, and we have assistant professor Courtney Knapp from urban planning and Rennie Tan from landscape architects. So the 3 of us are going to do the program this summer.
Oh, that's good.
So and again, it's interdisciplinary. So you're going to be working there with landscape architects.
And you start seeing the different values of working with other people. I actually took the Disney studio last quarter, and they have a set of skills that I think are sometimes way better than ours at certain things. And you start enriching the way you learn and the way you produce your work, because you start seeing the value of speed and different skills you can gain from there. Just really quickly on price, I spent, I think on the individual level, just on the base rate, it's around $8,000. I spent around 10, but like I said, there's so many things. No, I must say, I am a spender, and that's why it was really bad. Don't take a lot of things, because you will shop. You'll find a lot of things that are really inexpensive, things that you don't find anywhere else in the world, and you definitely want to bring them back. So, but yeah, it's a really fun program.
So in the China program, you can actually get ahead in your studies because you're doing it over the summer. So this is a really great program, again, for third years who want to study abroad but don't want to fall behind. And then also you come back and you can get credit for Topic Studio during 5th year. So then you're actually ahead in this program, so you can have more time to work here, more time to focus on your senior project. Yes, is there a question?
You can study, you can do the China program for the summer before you do a year abroad?
Yes, you can. However, there are some limitations as to how much credit you can get. But we do have students that have done both the summer program and then another program after, whether it is the a year program. Last year, we actually had a student who did China in the summer, and then